Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very famous guest. He's a legend, folks. You already know the name. Four-time Canadian Screen Award winner, three-time Gemini Award winner, TSN host, very well known James Duthie. James, how are you doing?
Ryan, Josh, I'm doing good. Good to be chatting with you boys. I like the backdrop there. Is that actually somebody's room, or is that
This
is that like a fake Zoom backdrop?
I get the basement at our house, so I have the freedom
Nice.
to do what I wish with it.
Is it North Stars behind your head?
Yeah,
I can't see
North,
it.
North Stars Medano.
Oh, nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
big jersey guys.
And
Yeah,
what's the red one on the other side of your head?
Zetterberg Winter Classic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I got it.
he's the
I was
man.
just seeing a little bit of red and white trim. I thought for a second it was like the old CCCP Russian 1972 ones or something.
No, I have a Team USA, but I don't know if I could ever rock the Soviet.
I'm not much of a jersey collector. The only ones I have, and they're pretty cool ones, are ones that like were given to me. I have a Gretzky signed. I played in his golf tournament like, I don't know, maybe a decade ago. So that's pretty cool. And then Hockey Canada will like send us ones before Olympics and stuff. So I think I could have a Taves 2014 or something, and one in 2010, but I can't remember what. But I'm terrible as a hockey guy. They just stored away in my. I figure I'll give them to my kids something someday or pass them on because they're just stored in my closet somewhere.
Yeah, too much.
Or if I get desperate for cash.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that Wayne Gretzky one would go for quite a bit, I'd say.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, you guys would. I don't know the jersey market very well, but it'd be pretty weak if somebody caught me selling something on eBay. From Gretz wouldn't be too happy.
Yeah, you'd be down bad for sure. So what's going on? You just had the Grey Cup there yesterday or the day before, sorry?
Yeah. Where are you guys again?
We're in Prince Edward Island, Canada.
Oh, nice, of course. Yeah, I know it's in Canada.
Yeah. I know a lot of folks from Ontario, and you just really...
Hey, I love PI. I haven't been out in a while. So Brad Richards, good guy, native son. He used to have a golf tournament. Now this is probably going back now, maybe almost 15 years. And so I went out there about 3 years in a row and played in that. And that was a blast. That was like super, super fun times. And got to meet guys out there that I'm still friend. Like Marty St. Louis, I didn't know till that tournament. Got to be really good buddies with him. I can still remember Stamkos out there. I think before he even played in the league, maybe like the year before he was a rookie. Because I have a photo on a golf course with him and Stamkos, Petrangelo, and can't remember the third, maybe Del Zotto. I'm not sure, but they were just punks, like 18, 19 years old. But big fan of PEI.
That's awesome. Do you remember the...
And sorry, you did ask me a question. Yeah, I just finished Grey Cup, which was a lot of fun. Game was awesome. I don't know if you guys are CFL guys. I don't hold it against you if you're not. I know a lot of people your generation are not, but I love CFL, and it was an awesome game. And now just getting ready for World Juniors.
Right on. Yeah, we have a buddy, Jordan Spence, who was on the team last year.
Nice. Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, everybody loves the World Juniors, but that was a special one for us for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a good thing you didn't ask me what, like, if you said our buddy's Jordan Spence, I would have said, oh, was that like 3 years ago? The one thing I'm terrible with, like, they all the years kind of loop together for me.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
I know all the names of the guys who've played, but I can't keep the years and eras straight.
Right. Well, we're not asking the wrong questions then.
Yeah. Don't feed me trivia stuff with dates and times.
Yeah. So we both grew up watching Sports Center. We had a Heritage Fair project on Jay and Dan when we were in like grade 8. I mean, is that just the best show to work on in the world or what?
Yeah. Like, how old are you guys?
20.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was in high school, I was, an athlete, but never an athlete that was going anywhere. Like, like most guys, they think they're going to go farther than they were. And so I was still like grade 11, 12, thinking I could play pro sports, which was so delusional. But probably like you guys, once I realized I wasn't going to make it, what would be the next best thing? And thought I wanted to be a sportscaster. Now TSN really wasn't around back then. That's how old I am, or it was just starting out. So I didn't even really think of that. I just wanted to work for the local station. And then as soon as TSN came along, first few years it was a little bit lame, but it got really good fast. And it was sports desk when I was working in Ottawa as a sportscaster. And I sort of decided, man, this would be my dream job if I could ever get to work for TSN. Mm-hmm. And I can still remember I finally got an audition. And that I can remember driving from the airport. It was like a rainy day for my audition and thinking, holy crap, like this is like the biggest day of my life. I better not screw this up. Right. Yeah. And doing the audition, and I was fairly nervous, but it went pretty well. And I actually didn't get the job right then. But the boss called me, said, I really like you. I just, I'm hiring somebody else for this job. And I moved out to Vancouver, took another job, and he called me 6 months later and gave me the job at TSN. And it was, very cool. That's a long-winded way of answering your question. But yeah, just everything I loved. I used to do, the sort of Jay and Dan thing on Sports Desk. You guys would probably be too young because I did that in, you would have been like still sucking from your mommy's boobs. I hosted Sports Center from 98 to like maybe 2001 or 2 before I got the hockey job. And I used to love doing that, but still going on there with Jay or just doing even our segments. It really is a great gig. Super people, a lot of fun. The fun you see that happens on TV is real. It's everybody likes each other, and it's a great place to work.
So has that been your goal your whole life to be, or well, that was like your dream?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like I said, I didn't really dream big when I was young. I just thought, man, there was a sportscaster named Brian Smith who did the local sports on my station in Ottawa. And that was the one my dad always watched. And so I'm like, man, if I could ever work with that guy and, do the local news, that would be amazing. And I got to do that eventually. And then started to think a little bit bigger. But if you'd have told me, when I was your age, that I would have, been able to cover all the stuff I've covered, Grey Cups and Super Bowls and Olympics and, NBA finals and Stanley Cup finals and all those things, I would have never thought that was possible. So yeah, knock on wood. I count my blessings every day for that.
Yeah, no, certainly very lucky. And you had the Olympics, was that the Vancouver 2010s that you were hosting?
Yeah. I mean, I did 2006, but I wasn't a host. We were just doing hockey there. That was in Italy. And then I hosted in 2010 in Vancouver. And so you guys would have been 10. Like, do you guys remember the Crosby goal?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like exactly where you were and all that?
Yes. Yeah, you don't forget that stuff.
Yeah, because that's funny because like my first like real sports memory, I was 10, like the Ottawa Rough Riders won the Grey Cup. And I remember exactly where I was when the play was. But I don't have too many of those memories from, being a kid. Of sports, but that one is, I'm sure for your generation, anybody who was older than like 6-7 years old, that was the one. So I don't, if you guys have heard this story, but what I would do, I was hosting the Olympics during the day, and then I would go down and do the Canadian hockey games at night. And our set was kind of like right above the Zamboni entrance, behind that one end, the end where the goal was scored. It was a really cool set. It was like retractable. So at the end of the period, it would pop out and the cameras would place down and we would do our little panels. And then it would pop back in when the period started, and we would just sit in the crowd like we had seats. And so I was probably 30 feet away from where Crosby scored the goal. And my son was playing in a tournament back home. And I was getting like updates from another dad on my phone. And I was actually looking at my phone, like a text came through right before the goal was scored. And it was really quiet in the arena because, everybody's so nervous. And I actually heard Crosby yell Iggy, and that's what made me look up from my phone just in time to see the goal. So imagine if I missed the goal to see a Pee Wee hockey score.
Yeah. Nice of a heads up for sure.
Yeah.
Your memory's a little bit more special than our memory of that then. Yeah. You're an Iggy looking up from your phone.
Wow. Yeah, like I said, really lucky to be there. Some of the things, like, I don't know, you guys NFL fans?
little bit,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
The some of those Super Bowls, like the Patriots comeback against the Falcons,
Oh,
Yeah.
being down, I was kind of stuck in the end zone. I could see the field, but I was mostly watching on a monitor because they keep you down there in like a cow pen basically until the game's over and you can rush onto the field. To watch that happen in real time was crazy.
Mhm.
Another one, like before you were born, but you've probably seen it on YouTube, was Vince Carter's slam dunk contest.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
That was like, so I was my first job at TSN. I hosted CFL and NBA, and so I was in that building in Oakland. And man, that was one of the craziest atmospheres of my life. If you think about it, you understand if there's a crazy atmosphere for a gold medal game or a Super Bowl or, a game 7, but this was just a slam dunk contest, right? It's like a nothing event. But what he was doing for that time was so crazy. Like people were jumping over their seats and diving and hugging each other. And it was like one of the craziest atmospheres I've ever been in because just nobody had seen you guys, all those dunks probably look pretty normal to you now because everybody's done crazy stuff in the 20 years since. But back then, no one had seen anything like that. And it was just people, 20,000 people just going absolutely bonkers. And yeah, that was a really cool memory.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a lasting one for sure. That guy was he jumped so others could fly for sure.
Yeah.
Is there any moment in particular that stands out? Like you just named off like 3 incredible you were in the building for. Is there any that
yeah, like I said, there's a few. The ones I haven't mentioned, I would say, like if you were to ask me a top 5, the Crosby goal would be number 1 probably. Right up there, maybe number 2 would be the Raptors winning. I got to host that in along with Rod Black in the NBA Finals, and to be in that building. Chris Bosh was my analyst, and to be there and witness. I guess I'm a bit of a pessimist when it comes to sports, and usually I don't care. Like if I'm at a Stanley Cup final, Boston, Chicago, I really could care less who wins, right? Because we're just covering the games, and I cheer for people, but I don't really cheer for teams. But I will admit for the Raptors, I really wanted them to win for Canada. Yeah. And so I was vested, and I guess I was expecting the worst, right? I was just kept expecting things to fall apart right down to, I don't know how much you remember the end of the game, but it was a brutal turnover, and Steph had a chance to win that game with like a long 3 and missed it. And I just couldn't believe they'd won. So to be down there on that floor when the trophy was being presented and everything, that was right up there. And the other one I would say that's definitely in that top 5 with some of the other stuff I mentioned was when Tiger won the Masters in 2019. I'm a big golf guy. Golf's probably my favorite sport to play, and good golf and PEI, by the way.
Yeah.
And so just that atmosphere. I always tell people, like, one of the curses of my job when I cover the Masters is it's really hard to cover. Like, you can't really be out there the whole time unless one guy's like winning by 5 or 6 shots because you miss too much. So when it's close, like it was that day, there was about 10 guys in it. I have to watch it on TV. I have to watch the back 9 on TV because I have to do like an hour post-game show when it's over. And so, but I went out and watched Tiger in the front 9, and he made this 2-putt on 9, which was a remarkable 2-putt. And so I think he went to the 10th tee, I don't know, tied for the lead, 1 back, something like, and there was just like this realization that went over the crowd that Tiger might win the Masters. And, there's probably about 100-yard walk from the 9th green to the 10th tee. And I kind of like what I was talking about in Oakland, just the amount of sheer volume of people going absolutely bonkers was just nuts. And, Tiger walks right by me and he's just got that, the Tiger face, right? It's like he can't hear any of it. Yeah. He's just so focused. And I always laugh because my buddy Puffy, we do a podcast too. And my buddy Puffy, who's a producer on the road, who I talk about a lot, and he's a super big sports fan. And, we're kind of supposed to be neutral when we cover things, right? But right. Tiger walks by, and Puffy couldn't help himself. He's like, "You got this, Tiger! Come on!" I'm like, Puffy, you're not supposed to do that. We're in media. But yeah, that was a really cool day as well. So Sid, the Raptors, Tiger, some of those Super Bowls I mentioned. There's been some Grey Cups. My dad was a big Ottawa football fan, and the Red Blacks won the Grey Cup in 2015. And my dad happened to die a year later, and he was already a bit sick. So that was a cool moment, like being on stage presenting the Grey Cup to the Red Blacks, and then calling my dad afterwards. So that one's always pretty special to me. But there's been a bunch, and the World Juniors too. Obviously, probably my favorite event of the year, and there's been a bunch of those. Have been amazing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just thinking whenever you said you're not allowed to have a favorite team. Do you have a favorite hockey team in the NHL?
I don't. I get accused of being the Sens fan because I have talked about I am from Ottawa, and my mom and dad were both big Sens fans. And so, I mean, I guess I would be guilty of cheering for them at times just for my mom and dad, you know what I mean? So especially when my dad was getting sick, that, would have been nice to see them win. But you don't really, the business kind of sucks the fan out of you. I'm definitely less of a sports fan or a fan of teams anyway, from being in this business for 25, 30 years or whatever it is. So you cheer for people. Like I cheer for people that I like. Brad Richards is an example, a guy I got to be friends with from PEI. So I always rooted for Brad. Daniel Alfredson in Ottawa, Luongo and I got to be good buddies. But just people you meet along the way that you like, you end up rooting for them. But I really don't care for the most part. And especially when the game's on TSN, you're only cheering for your network. And by that, I mean, you want a good game, right? Yeah. Like you don't like say the Grey Cup on Sunday. If it was 42-0 for whoever either side, that's no good for TSN because nobody's watching by the end of the game. Right. So you always want a good game. Look at when Canada's involved, I'm a professional on the air. I'll criticize. I'm neutral on the air, but you're still a Canadian, right? So do I like it when Canada wins? Absolutely. I think you'd be lying to yourself if you said that wasn't the case. But on the air, I can't sit there and yell, "Go Canada." I just don't. I was taught too much in journalism school to do that.
Yeah, right. I don't know if I could.
Well, I tell you, when they won that gold medal, I was sitting next to Bob McKenzie, and I think Darren Pang and Nick Kiprios were on the panel, and Kipper and Panger were going pretty crazy because they both had friends on the team and such. So. Yeah. And I wanted to, man. I wanted to be jumping up and down and pouring beers on everybody's head like everyone else was doing. But I think in my business, you as soon as something happens, you think about what you're going to say instead of enjoying the moment, right? I know I got to go on in 2 minutes after the gold medal, so what am I going to say about it? And that ended up occupying your time, so you kind of don't have time to be a fan. Right. The only real team I cheer for the 49ers in the NFL. That's the one team I still, sort of root for, that I might have a sweatshirt of or something, but everybody else, I'm just looking for good games.
Cool, man.
We already talked about this a little bit, the golf, obviously. You're a big golfer, eh? Mm-hmm. I listen to the Rubber Boots podcast quite a bit. I work at a golf course in the summer, so I just listen.
Which one?
Clyde River Golf Course.
Okay. All right. Yeah, but, I know, I'll get this wrong. Dunderave and Brudenell? Is that it?
Yeah, Dunderave and Brudenell.
So I've played both of those, and I've played Crowbush.
Oh, yeah.
I've probably played one other one in PI, but I'm not sure the name of it. Yeah, but anyway, sorry, finish.
Oh, yeah, you can't miss with those courses. Those are probably the three best in PEI. But, you recently had your first hole-in-one. I just want to hear a little bit about that.
Oh, thank you for asking. It's funny because if you listen to Rubber Boots podcast, we were doing this segment called Jimmy Summer Adventures, basically to fill time, and I forgot to tell that one. So I'm probably going to tell that one this week. So you guys get the scoop. You scoop me on my own podcast.
Yeah.
But so I don't pretend to be a great golfer. I've gotten better. I had a good year this year. But I was never, I never got lessons when I was young. So I kind of had a shitty swing. But it's gotten a little bit better, but it's kind of a short. I compare it to John Rahm, but John Rahm would probably not like that comparison if he saw me.
Okay.
You know what? I've been playing golf for a long time, and I kind of sort of gave up on the idea that I'd ever get a hole in one. I've never really come that close. I've hit the flagstick a couple times, but ended up 15 feet away. And I've never had something hanging on the lip or anything like that. So this was a day in the middle of summer, and I wasn't supposed to play that day. And my buddy called me, and he was having a match at my course. I played a course called King's Riding, about 3 minutes from my house. And guys are funny. Like, they always want a match buddy, right? So they're playing a match, and they want a friend there just to help with their confidence or whatever. These are grown-ass men. It's so ridiculous. Like 50-year-old man, hey, can you be my buddy, my match buddy today? We're so lame. But so he wanted me to come, and I had stuff to do, and I'm like, I don't think so. And he's like, oh, my opponent's got a match buddy there. So I'm like, all right, I'll come play. So I really wasn't into it. And I showed up like 5 minutes before the round. Our first 2 holes were really hard. I doubled the first. Second is like a 200-yard shot over water. And I made triple. Put it in the water and then like hit it off the back into the woods. And so now I'm 5 over after 2.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I just felt like going home, right? And I don't know. I think I might have made one more bogey and then a par. So we get to the 5th hole, which is this, it's kind of a little par 3. It's downhill, a really tiny green though, which is the only thing challenging about it. So it's only like 128, 130 to the back, which is where the pin was. And it was a nice sunny day. And so it's even though you're elevated, it's kind of hard to see because the way the sun was shining. So I hit a really good shot, but nobody could see it. Nobody could see it land. And so I thought it was good, but I thought maybe I was over because the pin was at the back and there's a bunker behind. And the other guys were into their match, so they weren't even paying hardly any attention to me.
Yeah.
And I think nobody else hit the green. They were all just over or whatever. And so we all walked down, weren't thinking anything. I really wasn't thinking anything. And then I got up and there was no balls on the green. So I'm like, oh, I must be in the back bunker. But as I'm walking across the green, like as I get halfway across the green, I saw my ball mark like 2 feet in front of the hole, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a pretty significant ball mark. And so I'm like, ooh. And so they're not even paying attention. They're all doing their thing. And I just glanced at the hole as I walked by and saw it. And I got to admit, like, I lost it. You know, I had I'm a pretty calm guy probably because of my job. I had I just had this primal scream, and I carry my clubs, and I just kind of threw my clubs off right in the middle of the green, which is terribly rude to do. And I was like sprinting around the green twice, just with this primal yell.
Yeah.
Because I was so shocked, I guess, that I would get it. But then like 2 minutes later, now you start to think, okay, now you got a hole in one, but you're still 5 over after 5. And if you want to frame the card or something, right? You don't want to have like 97 on there.
Yeah, you got to pick it up.
And so I had to like buckle down and start playing golf, and actually played great. And I think I ended up shooting 80. I think I doubled the last hole for 80, but that was fine. I didn't need to shoot 75 or something. I just wanted to not shoot 90, right? I just wanted to have a respectable somewhere in the 78 to 84 kind of range. So I played well, but that was it's funny though. Either of you guys got one?
No.
I have close.
Yeah. So when you get one, for the next like 3 weeks, you expect to get one every par 3. Right? So this is what I do. I get holes in one, right? So that was I was so confident for the next couple of weeks when every time I came to a par 3. And it's funny, the next day I hit the stick on the same hole, but it ended up like 4 feet away. So
I'm definitely guilty of having that walk across the green and thinking like, I'll check the cup just in case.
Yeah,
I haven't got lucky yet. No.
Well, it's funny. I'd never even seen a hole in one in my life until like the last 2 years, and now I've seen like 5, including my own 6. And now part of that is I play a lot of golf now. Yeah. But Jeff O'Neill, O-Dog, who I work with, he's an excellent golfer, like maybe a 2 handicap, and he's played a ton of golf his whole life and had never had a hole in one. And the second time I played with him, or the first time I played with him, he got a hole in one, and it was the same deal where he thought it was good, but you couldn't see the green from where we were. And I was the first one up there and ran across to the hole and saw it in, and he went nuts. And the next week, Dave Poulin, also on the panel, same thing. This was like a long hole, like 215 yards, and we couldn't find his ball, and they were all looking around, and he was the one who looked in the hole on that one, and it was in. And then two of my buddies got him this year. So yeah, they're happening all around me now.
They're not supposed to come in bunches. Definitely not.
No.
Sounds like you're the one to be golfing with.
Yeah, buddy, for sure.
Next time in PEI, boys, we'll have to get out.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah. We got you. How about your buddy there, Bobby Margarita? He's making some waves.
That's right, baby. I had to have him on the rubber boots yesterday, so I got my free samples right in front of me. I was going to drink it on the podcast, but I had to do a Leafs game last night, so that wouldn't have been very good.
Yeah,
get fired.
And
but they're good.
The reaction?
They're good.
Yeah,
yeah. Cool.
Yeah. You know what? Like, I knew about it for a while. Bobby and I golfed quite a few times in the summer, and his son Sean, who's his partner on this venture. Sean's really smart, and so they told me, I guess maybe 6 months ago, that they were thinking about doing this, and kept updating me kept showing me the cans, and then this summer he finally had his samples, and I had a cottage up north of here for a couple of weeks, and Bobby came up with his wife, and we went out in the boat and drank Bobby margaritas, and yeah, they were awesome. Now I told Bobby after, now they were awesome, but it was 100 degrees and I was on a boat, so everything would have tasted great, right?
Yeah.
No, but they're good, and it'll be really cool. I think you'll do really good with it. You know, I was never like a margarita guy before, but it's super cool and refreshing, and it's basically, you guys are the key. And when I say you guys, I mean your generation, right? Like if he gets on with, you know, the 20 somethings, you know, the cottage sort of party crowd, then I think he'll do really well. So Bobby doesn't fail at much. He does. So I don't know if it'll be Pink Whitney, but it'll be might be the Canadian version of it.
Well, I can tell you right now, I don't know how to make a margarita, so buying it in the can.
Yeah, why not? I'm the same as you, bud.
Yeah. You got some projects too, though. You're an author. You got some books out and a new one.
Yeah, well, I had Beauties came out last year, but it came out in paperback, so it is new. I still call it new. And that was a lot of fun. My fourth book, I guess. I wrote a book about Brian Kilray. That was my first book, a junior hockey coach, and that was kind of a labor of love because he was kind of the first guy I covered in the business when I worked in Ottawa. Then I wrote a book of just my own. I'd written columns for about 10 years and put a book of columns together called The Day I Almost Killed Two Gretzkys. And then I sort of wrote a book which was not an autobiography, but some of the stories I've told you here. And I just wanted a book that had all these stories from my career because, you know, you meet so many cool people and a lot of crazy stuff happens. So I wrote a book called The Guy on the Left, which is kind of about my life on the panel. But this was the first book that was really a book where I had to do 100 interviews and really work on, not just out of my own head. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun, you know, to sit on the phone with a Sidney Crosby or, you know, Bobby Orr or Gretzky for an hour and just have them telling you stories was a really cool experience. So all I did basically was call about 60 guys and say, you know, tell me your favorite hockey story. And so there's guys in there like Bobby Mack and some of the guys I work with, and, you know, guys like Luongo and Gretzky and Connor McDavid. And yeah, so it was a lot of fun to put together. And I was really proud of it because that's the kind of book I like to read. Is just, you know, I like a different story on every page, and that's what this is basically. So yeah, it did really well, and I was really happy with it.
Yeah, do you have a favorite?
A copy here somewhere. There you go. Visual backup, props, beauties,
right
hockey's greatest untold stories. There you go. Available in all your PEI bookstores, hopefully.
Yeah,
Indigo, probably our only one.
Indigo, Charlottetown.
Yeah.
one copy probably for the whole island.
Yeah. It's a community library.
That's right.
Do you have a favorite story out of that book that you have in your head, or?
You know, when I was doing the book, like all the media for the book when it came out last year, I got asked that question pretty much every time, and I never had a good answer for it because it's kind of like having a favorite kid. They're all kind of they're all kind of your favorites. Well, I'll tell you one here. One that early on in the process, I interviewed John Cooper, who's a friend, the coach of the Lightning, and I think I texted him and said, I'm looking for a good hockey story, and can be anything, on the ice, off the ice, whatever. And he calls me and he tells a story when he was the coach of Syracuse before he got the job with Tampa. And Dustin Tokarski was his goalie. And they have a big game in Binghamton this one night. And Binghamton was loaded back then. That was like, you look at that roster, it's like Robin Leonard, Mark Stone, all those guys. And Cooper's team was half of the Lightning now, Palat and Tyler Johnson is gone now, but guys like that. But anyway, he gets a call in the morning from the general manager and says, Dustin Tokarski's at the police station. You got to get there right now. And so he races down saying, what did Tokarski do? Well, it turns out he didn't do anything. He was carjacked at knife point. So he was all shaken up, obviously. Some guy had waited for him in his parking garage and taken his car. So Cooper gets to the police station. He's trying to help out his goalie. And now the cops have found the guy, and it's a car chase out on the highway. So they're asking him if he can stay around because can he ID the guy and all this stuff. And so they're supposed to leave to take the bus to Binghamton. Guy Boucher, I think the lockout might have been on that year. So Guy Boucher was down scouting. So he went with the team, and Cooper stayed behind with the goalie. Long story short, they end up at the police station all day because they catch the guy in the police chase, but he wrecks the car. Tokarski has to go out to ID the guy. Cooper has to wait for him. Anyway, they end up driving to the game, and they're super late. They miss the exit on the highway. They basically ditch the car, run across the highway to run into the arena just as the puck is being dropped, basically. And Tokarski's completely shaken. So Cooper says, just go to the dressing room. You're not dressing tonight. Spend the game in the dressing room. Well, the team's all rattled because their coach is late. Their goalie's not here. They're like, what the hell's going on? So Binghamton scores 5 goals in no time, and it's 5-0. So as things happen in the AHL and many hockey leagues, things start to get chippy. And there's a full-scale brawl late in the second period. It's 5-0. And Robin Leonard, who was, as you know, a bit of a hothead back then, fights Rico Haselius, who was the Syracuse goalie. So you got a full-scale brawl. You got a goalie fight. Both the goalies get kicked out.
Oh,
so Cooper's like, oh, I gotta get Tucker, I think he calls him, back in the net. So goes to the dressing room, says, you got to get in, buddy. And he's like, what? And so he gets dressed, comes in the game. Syracuse scores 6 straight and wins in overtime, 6-5. Tokarski gets first star. And so when Cooper finished telling me that story, I was like, man, that is exactly why I wrote this book, right? Mm-hmm. Just for stories because hockey's so full of great stories, and you don't hear them very often on, the broadcast like we do. You can't fit something like that into the NHL on TSN. So that's what I wanted to do, was just, and more tell the stories behind the scenes, right? There are some on ice stories, but stories like that I'd never heard before. And that's what the book is full of. And so that's one of my favorites. And I thought he was, by the way, when you tell a book of hockey stories, there's always a bit of BS involved, right? Like time goes by, people exaggerate stories. Mm-hmm. And so when Cooper told me the story, I'm like, did this really happen? Right. So I went and got the game sheet from the game, and I did some research to get the police report, and everything happened like exactly as was, 100%. So that was really cool, because there was a few times guys told me stories for the book, and then I go research and I'm like, oh, that didn't actually happen.
Trying to do you dirty. Yeah, hockey's got one of the worst rumor mills around for sure.
It is. I'll even tell you this. There's one of the chapters in the book, and I don't want to out the guy, and it wasn't a player, but he told me like this unbelievable story but he had somebody else who was featured prominently in the story. So I called the other guy, and he's like, yeah, like none of that happens. And so I wrote the chapter anyway, because it was an incredible story, but I had to take out all the stuff that was wrong. And there was like so many things wrong, which just shows you, like, I think people just have distorted memories, right? When it was 20 years ago or something.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you work for Trade Center, and I'm sure there's lots of people coming in saying this guy's going there. Is there any situations like that where it's just not true at all?
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
going
for sure. I mean, even the stuff that's reported on the air, yeah, it's funny, when 15 years ago, rumors were never reported. It was just sort of a taboo in journalism. But as social media came along and stuff, I think it became impossible not to. And so even the insiders, they won't report unsubstantiated rumors, but they'll report, everything they hear. If an agent says this player could be going to here, well, that'll get reported. And if somebody was to do a study on how many rumors there are before Trade Center to the actual deals that happen, I mean, it's probably 100 to 1, right?
Yeah.
But that's sort of, I think that's part of the fun of it all in a way, right? Holy crap, could this guy go there really? Well, probably not, but it's fun to think about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why Trade Center is so popular, is that it's not what happens, it's the idea of what could happen.
Yeah.
That gets people to watch, right?
Yeah, 100%. What else you got here?
The book there, I almost killed 2 Gretzkys. Did you have a run in there, or did things get hairy, or what happened?
Oh, for the title of the book?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, like, the whole book is not, that's just one chapter of the book, right? It's a whole collection of stories, but the publisher thought that was the most interesting title, which probably is, right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell it to you quick. Basically, that tournament I was telling you about, where I got the Gretzky jersey, Gretzky held his own. It was the nationwide tour at the time, which is now the Corn Ferry Tour. So the secondary golf tour under the PGA.
Yep.
There was an actual tournament just up here, an hour and a half from me in Collingwood, Ontario, and there was a pro-am as part of it. It was the Wayne Gretzky tournament, and there was a pro-am, so I got invited to play in it. But the day before it started, we were playing in a practice round, and I was playing with Gino Reda and Walter Gretzky and some other guy behind Wayne and a couple of his buddies, I think Charles Barkley and a couple guys. And so the first Gretzky I almost killed was Walter. So Walter, when you're playing golf with Walter, rest in peace, Walter, it's really bizarre because all he does the entire round is look for golf balls. And I thought this was like really weird. His dad, his son's worth about couple $100 million. And he spends the entire round looking for golf balls. Like the whole round, we're like, where's Walter? Where's Walter? Where's Walter? I found out afterwards, by the way, he gets the golf balls, he cleans them, he gets Wayne to sign them, and he gives them to kids. So it's pretty cool.
Right.
But we're on this like par 4, slightly elevated tee box, not really, a little bit. And right in front of it was like fescue. So it was almost at your level, like 6-foot high fescue. And we're like, where's Walter? We couldn't find Walter again. And we're like, I'll just tee off. So I was like right in the middle of my backswing, and Walter's head pops up like 10 feet in front of me, like a fox in a meadow, right? Hey, right as I'm in my backswing. And, with my golf game, there would have been a chance I would have hit a low worm burner that would have killed him. So that was the Walter part of it. But 2 holes later was the scarier part. So Wayne, as I said, was playing in front. It was a par 5, and Wayne's group was on the green. And I was in the middle of fairway. I had a good drive, but I had probably like 240 uphill to the green. And I said, Gino, should I hit? And he's like, yeah, you're not going to, I'm a decent golfer, so I'll make those, 1 out of 10 or something probably. But I just destroyed a 3-wood. And so my first thought is like, oh, I just crushed that ball. Then my second thought was, that's going to go on the green. And then my third thought is, shit, that's going like right at the guy in the red shirt. My fourth thought is, holy crap, that's Gretz. and then my fifth thought was, that's not just going at him, Like that's going that this like little part of the back of his head that will like kill him instantly, right? And then my last thought was, I got to get to Mexico. So anyway, yeah, in what was a sort of a typical break in my golfing career, but the luckiest break of my life probably, there's a bunker in front of the green, and Wayne was sort of standing at the edge of the bunker, and I basically plugged into the lip of the bunker, like right underneath his foot. And it must have made that sort of thud sound because he turned around, at which point I pointed at Gino.
Yeah. I was going to say, I hope McSorley wasn't in his group.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that was the day I almost killed two Gretzky.
Cool. That's awesome.
All right. You're a busy man. We'll hit you with one more question before we let you head out.
Okay, bro.
Advice a 50-year-old Duffy would give a 20-year-old Duffy.
Oh man, that's a really good question. I don't know if I've ever been asked that before. Well, first he'd say you're going to have a really good life. You're going to get really ass lucky to do the things you do, because like I said, I didn't think at 20 years old that I would get to do the things that I would have done. I guess I'd probably just tell the guy not to worry as much. And, I tend to sweat stuff. And, I work hard because I think that I was talking about this with my daughter today. We're all insecure, right? In what we do, whether, I don't know what you guys are in school or jobs or whatever, but we all have degrees of insecurity that you're like a fear of failure. Right. But I don't think that's a bad thing. Like to me, I'm constantly motivated by insecurity or fear of failure that, even though I've been doing this for a long time, I'm still always worried I'll go out there and look like a buffoon. Right. And they'll yank me off TV. And because of that, I work my ass off to make sure that I'm ready. Right. So like, let's say for the Grey Cup on Sunday, I was ready. I knew everything I needed to know about that game when I stepped behind that microphone. And then once you do that, you can relax on the air because you're ready, and then everything just flows naturally. I don't know where I'm going with this point because I don't know if I would have told myself. I guess I wouldn't change myself, but I guess that sometimes I miss the moments because I'm so focused on the work, right? That sometimes, like I told you about that Crosby goal, that maybe I would tell myself to soak it up a little bit more instead of right away thinking about what are you going to say and how's the post-game show going to do and all that stuff, right? To just enjoy those moments. I think I've gotten better at it. Certainly in the last few years, I think I've gotten better at it. But early in my career, I don't think I enjoyed the moments enough because I was, so focused, so worried about my work. So I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's the only thing I could come up with.
Fantastic.
Sounds pretty dang good to me.
All right, buzz.
We'll keep that in mind for sure.
All right.
Yeah, thanks very much for coming on.
No, my pleasure, guys. Like I said, I was you guys once. I don't know what you want to do with your lives, but so it's always a pleasure for me to talk to young guys like yourself. And I love Eastern Canadians are the best. I come out to Cabot and play golf every year that I can, and I got to get back to PEI because I love the golf out there too. So maybe this summer, if things are okay with the stupid virus, we'll get back to PEI. And wish you guys all the best, man. It was fun, really fun chatting with you.
Thanks. Merry Christmas. James. You have a good one.
All right, boys. If you put it on the Twitter or the Insta or something like that, let me know and I'll retweet it for you. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
All the best, boys. Good
Yeah.
talking to you.
You too.
Take care, man.
Bye.